All right, so welcome everybody. I'm really happy that you could be here for us to talk about why grad school. My name's Rosemary White, and I'm the Student Success Coordinator in the Office of Graduate Studies. And I'm also here with Areli Saldana, and I will let Areli give a little bit about herself.
Hi everyone, I'm Morelli. I recently graduated with my master's in psychological science, and I am working as an outreach support coordinator with the Office of Grad Studies.
Thanks, Areli. Okay, so. What I would like to do is let everybody know at the outset that you are welcome to unmute and ask questions at any time. So, we're going to do this somewhat informally. Hi, Crystal. Glad you're here. We're just uh, just getting started and making sure everybody knows that you're welcome to ask questions. And you are also always welcome to get a hold of us at Grad Studies if questions come up as you proceed after this. So we're always happy to meet with students and have anybody come in with questions. So um, we're talking about why grad school today. And basically, we get a lot of students who say, why should I uh, think about a grad degree while I'm still finishing my bachelor's? And basically, it is never too early to start thinking about this. It can help you definitely ease things down the road. And so, basically, we had talked to a lot of students over the years, and we found out that once people got into their senior year, they often didn't know what kinds of jobs they could do with their degree. They felt like they didn't know enough about the the different kinds of degrees, what advantages there might be. Some of them actually felt like, ooh, I actually found out after I got way into it that I picked the wrong major, or what do I do? Um, and sometimes they felt like they were not prepared enough to pursue a grad degree once they realize that it might be of interest. And so that's why we always like to talk to students as early as possible. Um, and that being said, it's never too late, and we'll go into that too. So we just realized when we were talking to students that we needed to help you explore future career possibilities, figure out, is a grad degree needed for what I actually want to do when I'm finished here? How to use your time now well to help you if you do want to go on. Um, Never too early or too late. The reason why I mention it's never too late is because we in grad studies work with alumni all the time. So lots of times people go out and they're working for a while and they realize, oh, I kind of do think that this would be useful to me. And then they'll contact us and we assist those students to prepare and apply and get in, and we help them succeed. So just know it doesn't matter when, but we kind of like the idea of helping you prepare now while you're still here. Um, and I definitely had that kind of experience when I was an undergrad. I was just focused on getting my bachelor's. And I really didn't think that much about grad school. And not a lot of people talked to me about it. It was this vague notion, it was like I knew it existed. And I knew some people did it, but I didn't really have anybody really talk to me in depth about it. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about making sure that we get to talk to students about it early on. Because my degree was psych. And once I graduated and looked for jobs, I realized, oh, yeah, there are some jobs, but there's a lot more opportunity if I had a master's degree and they paid better. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We also want to help you develop a sense of entitlement so that you really feel like, yeah, I can do this. There is support for you. We do have lots and lots of people. In fact, I think I've only met one person in my entire life who said that they did not experience the imposter syndrome. And imposter syndrome is that idea of, ooh, I don't know if I belong here. Everybody else belongs here, but you know, they know stuff that I don't. That's such a common thing. And it's amazing how many people express that even as they are in their professional career, that, they still experience it. I met a professor from Harvard who said he still feels imposter syndrome. The chancellor and the president of this university both talked about imposter syndrome and still feeling it while they were doing their jobs at the time. So it's really a common thing. And so one of the things that we want to do is really help you feel like this Winnie the Pooh poster that says, basically you are braver and stronger and smarter than you think. And you can do this if it's right for you, and you've got help in places like graduate studies. So, uh, with all that said, we want you to consider that there can be benefits to graduate school. And just also really quickly, there are sometimes people who go, oh, I don't even really know what graduate school is. It's anything that you pursue after your first 4 years to getting your bachelor's degree. Um, there are some professional degrees that we'll talk about, and then there are some graduate degrees like a master's or PhD, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But um, the benefits of considering going on have to do with what can you earn. Typically, it's going to be about 30% more over your career. And also, as I mentioned, with my degree of psychology, there were just many, many more options for me to choose from for jobs that I could pursue after I graduated. And then also, job security is interesting when it comes to graduate school. During the pandemic, they found that, people who had advanced degrees like that they retained their jobs more than folks who didn't. And so that was also a definite benefit. Um, and then those folks who maybe sometimes felt like, ooh, I did not pick the right major. It is a viable way to shift gears if you want to. And your graduate degree does not have to match what your undergraduate degree was. People shift gears all the time for many different reasons. And, sometimes they feel like just, it's going to kind of complement what they studied and they want to, add it on. Or some people just feel like, oh, yeah, you know what? I really ought to be a social worker instead of a biologist. And you can do that. And so just know that that is something that is an option for any of you. Um, so, there are other benefits as well as the practical, and the emotional and intellectual reasons can be, some of the most important to folks as they're considering it. You get to dive deep into a subject that you are really, really passionate about, and you get to engage closely with faculty and peers and do some really important work in the field that you are interested in. And it also affords status and respect, and there's nothing wrong with that. So just know that there are many reasons to consider it. Um, the different kinds of degrees that I mentioned before, you can, if you would like to teach in an elementary or high school, you can get a teaching credential in just 1 year. And that's a professional degree. That's a something that you would just pursue after your bachelor's. Any um, major can go into that. So that's a possibility. A master's degree typically takes a couple of years. Some folks like me, who I am in a master's program right now, and I'm doing it part-time because I'm also working full-time. So some folks do it in a little bit longer than 2 years, but if you want to pursue it and just straight ahead do it, then typically it's 2 years. It's only 30 units. And that's compared to the full 120 that you have had to do for your bachelor's. So it's fairly quick. There are some that take a little bit longer. If you want to get a law degree, it's typically 3 years. An education doctorate is 3 years. If you want to get a PhD and maybe come back and teach at a 4 year institution and be a tenured professor, then you'll want to get the PhD, and that's typically 4 to 6 years. And then, of course, if you want to be an MD, it's going to be the longest. But know that Chico State does offer the first three. But we still assist folks, even if they want to go on for a different degree, or if we don't have a master's that fits your goals, we still assist students in trying to get connected, get support for your application, and get in. So just know that we're here for you no matter where you want to go. We do have really close connections with all of the faculty who coordinate our graduate programs here, but we can also try and get you in touch with other faculty who might, if we don't have the degree here, then there are probably faculty on campus who know of other institutions and they would be able to do some recommendations and stuff. So, and also, just really quickly, if someone gets a master's degree, they can be a lecturer at a 4 year institution. So, you don't have to have a PhD if you want to teach at a 4 year institution, but if you do want to be a tenured professor, then you'd want to go on for your PhD. Um, and we'll talk a little bit more later about um, some programs that are set up to support folks who want to go on to PhD as well. Um, so just know that we are here to assist folks no matter what degree you're interested in where you want to go. So figuring out if an advanced degree is for you, there are several things that you might want to keep in mind. Um, Talking to professors is one of the best ways. All of them have office hours. They have to be there. It's not that you're imposing, it's part of their job. And talking with professors can be really helpful in kind of figuring out, is this right for me? And getting some background on what it might take because they've all had to do that in order to be where they are. Really, did you want to add anything about that?
I just want to add that I like that it says over there graduate student peers should be a good source too. I think graduate students, in my opinion, are more honest about the hurdles or the benefits of grad school. So if you know any grad students, I would recommend approaching them and just asking about their experience.
Cool. Thank you. As a recent graduate yourself, you are a good person to say that. And we'll talk a little bit shortly about some opportunities you all would have to be able to mix with current grad students as well. Um, and yeah, just some things to think about, what you might want to ask. if you are one of those folks who are used to going into your professor's office hours, cool, you're not going to have a problem with that. But some of us are a little bit shy, so just know that professors often really like to just have conversations about their path. And so that's one way that you can start the conversation and not feel awkward, just ask them, how did you get where you are? What did you do to prepare? Do you have any advice? And that sort of thing. So, um, and just starting those conversations and that kind of thing is useful whether you are going on to graduate school or even if you are considering different career paths, getting used to asking people who are doing those things to tell them about, to tell you about their path. That's what networking is, and it's really, really useful. So, I've had other graduate students who have been working as outreach staff in the past, and they've said that they had really good luck with just going in and asking the professors about their work because they love talking about their work and they love talking about their research and they love talking about how they got there and stuff. So it's not a scary thing. It's just that's the easiest, most low-key way of just getting in there and starting the conversation. And there are benefits to doing this in addition to you finding out some things about whether an advanced degree is good for you. It also gets the professors to know you so that if you do need to ask for a letter of recommendation for a scholarship application or anything like that, they already know you, and it makes that easier too. So, some things, actually, okay, I'm going to stop for 1 second here because I tend to just talk and talk and talk. And I want to just see if anybody has any questions so far. And don't be shy because you can see nobody needs to be shy around me. I definitely love having conversations with students. Okay, no questions so far. Feel free to unmute if any do come up. So, some of the things that you can do to prepare now, um, what we like people to know is that your GPA is not the end of the story when it comes to applying to graduate school. Um, Title 5 of the California Education Code says that students should have a 2.5 GPA. Um, Programs will often ask for, they'll say we prefer 3.0, 3.5, whatever. And just know that there are those preferences, but if you have a GPA that isn't what you wish it were, you can talk about that in your statement of purpose. There's probably things that were going on. It's very common for students when they're just beginning their um, undergrad degree to not really know exactly where they're going and just getting settled in and stuff. Sometimes your GPA will get better over time. And just knowing that that's not the end of it all, but if you do kick it into gear a little bit more, you can um, increase that GPA over time and know that grad programs often will look at your last 60 units or your last 30 units. So, but knowing that, just knowing that often you can do it just a little bit more, and maybe you want to try and do that. I did see one question in the chat and wondering if the public health masters has an online program. And at this point, Chico State has a master's in public health that is just coming online. It is not yet. in it is not yet fully happened, and I don't know whether it's going to be online or not. Right now, we do have two other degrees that have an option in public health. We do have a, public administration master's. It's the MPA. That has an option in public health, and that one sort of focuses on policy. Um, that one is an in-person program. And then we also have a business master's, master's in business administration, an MBA. And that one also has an option in public health. That one is a little bit more geared toward the business and money side of it, administering the public health. Um, and I will see about whether that one, I think they are both in person, but I will double check that and get back to you, Michelle. If you want to put your email in the chat, I can double check. And okay. So, yeah, moving back to other things that you can do to develop your skills or um, get some professional development. There are all kinds of offices across campus that are designed to support you in many, many ways. And so definitely using all of the student support offices that are in the Student Services Center, like the Student Learning Center, which also has a writing center. Um, there are programs that you can apply to, like Reach and um, Chico STEM Connections Collaborative. There are all kinds of supports offered through the different affinity groups, the CCLC, the APITA, the Black Resource Center, and El Centro, and Office of Tribal Relations. All of those have different kinds of support. And then there are some professional development opportunities, research opportunities. You might be able to connect with a faculty member who is doing some research that you are interested in and volunteer for them. There are actually some programs where you can apply to maybe even have a fellowship associated with that. Lots of departments support students to try and help them go to conferences and and to get into internships. Sometimes campus employment can be very useful if you can get into something that is in your area. And we'll talk a little bit more about some of that in a minute. Um, and Aurelie, did you want to mention anything about that research area?
Just that if you are hoping or thinking about eventually going into grad school, I strongly recommend taking on research opportunities that you come across. They're a little bit harder to come by as an undergrad, but they are really valuable experience, especially if you're hoping to go into a PhD eventually.
Thanks, Aurelie. Some things that you might even consider when you are um, in classes and you are assigned a research project, just know that you actually can use that kind of research project and sign up to present at the Student Research Symposium. We actually have one coming up. We have an annual one that is university wide, and you are able to present even your classwork that was a research project. You're also able to present at that kind of symposium, even a research design that you haven't yet even started, but you have an idea of here's my hypothesis, here's how I would test it, and this is what I would like to do, and I'm guessing I'm going to come up with this kind of result. You can do that. All of that gets the ball rolling, and it's actually you can do it pretty low stakes because with, for instance, our student research symposium that's coming up, you can. present either a poster of a research design or something that you've done in a class. You can present for just 3 minutes with one slide, or if you actually have a really elaborate idea or you've had a chance to do some research, you can present in a 10-minute presentation with a full deck of slides. So there's lots of options, and just know that that is something that can help you, and just kind of getting used to the idea of being involved in research can help prep you for grad school. We do have that student research symposium coming up. It's going to happen in March, and the deadline is the 18th, so it's a little over a week away. But the deadline is just, hey, you're just signing up, basically. If you want to pursue that, you do have time. And if it's something that you're not quite ready for, but you want to just check out what is this all about, then it's that thing is open for all students to come. And we always feed you, and we have um, you know, multiple different kinds of presentations that you can go to, and you can just hop from poster session to 3 minute session to 10-minute session and kind of check out what it's all about. It's actually quite a fun event. And so I recommend either, participating and just getting your feet wet, or just checking it out by attending this year. We do have more information on our website about that. And Aurelie just put something in the chat. Thank you, Aurelie. So we just want you to be thinking about that sort of thing. So the last thing on this slide talks about discovering pathways to the best degree and career path for you. And this is where we really have a great resource on this campus, and that's the Career Center. And I don't know if anybody has taken advantage of those services before. Um, if you have, you'll know some really lovely things about that office, but I definitely want you to consider doing that. They have really great staff. They have drop-in times. I think that's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, but you can make appointments Monday through Friday. That is really useful because they'll talk to you about career, but they'll also talk to you about graduate school and prepping for it. Um, and there are some um, websites that have some really useful information, the Department of Labor and the California Employment Development Department. So we'll look at that in a minute. Um, and here, some of the things that you might consider, um, if you know what job you want when you're done, and some people do have a really good idea of this is the end goal, I want to do this. If you know some job titles and you go to this Department of Labor Occupational Outlook Handbook and you type in that job title, it will not only tell you about what that job actually requires as far as what is your work going to be, what's the environment like, how much can you earn, etc. But it will also tell you typically this is what level of education you need. And so that can really help you if you already have an idea about what you want to do. The California labor market guide is more just focusing on California. The ONET online kind of has some of the same types of things, and it links to some of these others, but it has slightly different offerings, but that one's nationwide. Here at Chico, we have two things in case you're not really positive. What is my end goal? What are the types of jobs that I might want to consider? If you're still trying to figure that out, what I love is what can I do with this major and the focus two. I don't know if anyone has tried Focus 2 or used What Can I Do with This Major? You can raise your hand if you have, and if there's anything that you want to add about it. Um, I'll just tell you that what I found interesting, those two are on the Career Center website. So you can just do them even before you go in and talk to the Career Center staff. And the Focus 2 was interesting for me because um, it has I think it's four, maybe five little modules that they take maybe 5, 10 minutes at the most. And they're just online things that you click answering some questions. And so you can do them piecemeal, you can just do them 5, 10 minutes at a time, come back, do another one later. But it will put all of that together. And then it comes up with this profile for you. And I found it really fascinating because I did it for a class that I took a couple of semesters ago. And I had been out working for 30 plus years. And when it gave me a list of job titles that I might be interested in, and that was based on my answers to the Focus 2 assessments, I was shocked at how many times I was like, and not everything. Obviously, it gave me probably, I don't know, felt like 90 job titles. I can't remember exactly how many, but it was a lot. But I kept on going down the list and I'm like, oh, I did that. Oh, I did that. So it was pretty good about figuring me out. Um, so that can be really helpful. And I do know that it sort of depends on what's going on in your life when you do it and where you are. There's all kinds of things that go into what your answers are what your profile is gonna come out like. Like, how do I answer questions like that in general? So just know that they may change over time, but it can be quite useful. I was surprised at it doing a pretty good job of giving me some job titles that I knew I might be interested in because I had done them. So anyway, so I definitely recommend checking those out and using the Career Center resources because they can really help you kind of get a little bit of direction if you're still exploring a lot. Um, Also, all professions have national associations, and those kinds of websites can help you figure out, what are the jobs out there. And it's also, by the way, a good place to look to see if there are any opportunities to apply for scholarships through those associations, because that's another way for you to apply for an external scholarship. So check those out. Um, and speaking of scholarships, money tends to be one of the main things that keeps people from seriously considering grad school because you're like, oh my gosh, another couple years or whatever it is. Like, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can afford that. And granted, I get it. It's that's a very daunting thing, but just know that there are ways of getting help to fund grad school. There are different ways because some of you might know that Pell Grants, while they are available to undergrads, are not available to grad students. However, there are things like the State University Grant, which is called a SUG, that are available to graduate students. And so you want to do your FAFSA every year, even if you're just thinking about going to graduate school. Just do it. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. And if you have the student aid index in the right level, then you may be able to get a state university grant. And right now, Chico State's per semester cost for a graduate program is typically in the ballpark of a little over $5,000 a semester. And the SUG, that state university grant, could um, help you with about 4,000 something of that. So it's really pays a good chunk of it if you are eligible. I did see a question, would it only be FAFSA or CATA as well? And not positive I'm understanding completely what the question is, but you would want to do the FAFSA or CATA in order to be considered for that state university grant. Um, there are other ways of getting funding, and we'll talk about those in a second. But please, Laura, let me know if that doesn't quite answer your question. So there are also, Laura, go ahead. Okay. Um, there are also sometimes departmental scholarships and discretionary funds. For instance, if you are interested in going into a master's in business administration, then they often have, College of Business has their own set of scholarships that you could apply to. So that's a possibility. So you want to check in with the departments of wherever you're interested. Also here on Chico State's campus, if you're interested in pursuing a master's in social work, I know they have some social work specific scholarships that you can apply to. And other departments may have similar things, so it's always good to check in with that. Um, every year, we recommend that you apply for the Wildcat Scholarship, and that is not only available to undergrads, but also to grad students. So, also, I will let you know, I had a question in the chat about FAFSA and parents' income. And just know that parents' income is not considered once you're doing a FAFSA and you have said, I am applying for a graduate degree. Because once you are going into graduate school, you are considered completely independently of your parents. And so that's a good thing for most people because most of the time your income is going to be less than theirs. So, Chris Trowbridge of Financial Aid always recommends that students go and try and meet with them because he has all the kinds of details on that. We do have a recording of Chris's recent workshop on financial aid and funding for grad school. So that is useful. And I just got another message that says Chris is great, and that is so true. So anyway, they're very friendly people, and so that's why we want to make sure that you feel free to go and use the resources that are available. Um, other ways to fund, lots of departments have teaching assistantships and research assistantships. Do you want to talk about that, Aurelia, from your experience?
Yes. Could you repeat that last part? I was answering a comment in the chat for a moment.
Oh,
Sorry.
thank you, thank you. Was just mentioning teaching assistantships and research assistantships, and I know that you had an opportunity to partake of those.
Yes, yes. So there are some grant programs around campus that allow you to conduct research with a faculty member, and in return, you get payment. So that's a good way to supplement your income and pay for your tuition. Same with teaching assistantships. Some programs will pay you to teach lower level classes. So those are opportunities to keep an eye on, but it varies from program to program. Because I know that for my program, which was psychology. Our teaching assistantships were not paid. We were doing them just for the credits. But other programs like political science, I believe they do have paid teaching assistantships. So it's just a matter of looking for those opportunities by program and by department.
Yeah, and asking at the department level or asking your professors, they can often tell you what your area is going to have available to you. And interesting that you mentioned the political science because I remember um, one of the folks in that department was saying they actually even hire teaching assistants outside of their department. So, you know, check around. There might be even more opportunities. Um, a lot of those kinds of opportunities, if they are paid, are available via the campus employment websites. So there's the Chico State jobs information, but there's also Chico State Enterprises, CSE, and that is adjunct to the university. They're just in 25 Main across the street over there. And they have a lot of graduate student opportunities for work because they have some grant funded programs and they hire grad students to work on them. So that's somewhere that you might also check. There are some research stipends and awards available on campus. Um, for undergrads, if you are a sophomore or junior, or maybe it's a junior or senior, the McNair program is something that you might want to consider. They have a website. You can just type in McNair on the Chico State website and it'll bring you to their page. I think they're going to be opening up their applications this spring. And so that's something that does allow students to get some scholarship or fellowship funding, basically, to work with a faculty mentor on some research. So that's something that's open to undergrads. There is something that's called the SARC, which is Student Awards for Research and Creativity. That program has in the past had some opportunities to work with a faculty mentor on research. Right now, I think that they are sort of switching up how they're doing things, but definitely I recommend that you type in SARC at the Chico State website and see what they've got to offer. That's available to undergraduates as well as graduate students. And then if you're in STEM, you might check out the CSC squared, which is Chico STEM Collection Connections Collaborative. So that is something that you might be able to get some research opportunities and possibly some kind of fellowship money. So that's something to check too. Um, if students are interested in attending here and there's a grad program that you're applying to, you could also apply to the Graduate Equity Fellowship. Aurelie, I don't know if you participated in that program. No.
I did not know.
Okay. So it's something where graduate students, once again, get an opportunity to work with a faculty mentor on some research and they get fellowship money to do that. So that's something that we definitely recommend that you check out. That is also on our website, on the Graduate Studies website, because it's a program that runs through our office. Um, if you, any of you are interested in going on to a PhD, then there are things that we have here that can help you. Um, there are two programs that are run through Chico State, but they come from the chancellor, the CSU chancellor's office. One is called the Pre-Doctoral Scholars Program, and that one I'm going to let Aurelie tell you a bit about because she was a recipient of that award.
I will talk about that a little bit, but before that, Michelle had a question. So
Mm, mm. Michelle, please.
Yes, yes. Quick, quick question. Are there like for during grad school, are there any scholarships or research opportunities that are distance learning or online?
Ah, that is a beautiful question. Um, some things may be available. It is still, sort of being developed on this campus. Um, some things, um, like there may be scholarships or fellowships that you can be awarded and be doing a distance learning program, but there just aren't that many distance learning programs here at Chico State. Um, so just know that I have known people who were in the social work distance learning program, which is a 3-year program, and they have been able to get a graduate equity fellowship and they have been able to get um, some of the social work fellowships. So it's program by program. Um, there are things to know about some of the online programs. That social work distance learning program that they have for their masters, it does actually um, count as a sort of stateside program, even though it is a distance learning program. And so they do have all the same kinds of opportunities for financial aid. But one of the things that Chris Trowbridge mentions in his presentations about funding grad school is to know that some programs that are online, if they run through they're called self-support instead of state support. If they run through professional and continuing ed, which things like the online business MBA runs through professional and continuing ed. Our ag ed program runs through PCE. Um, and let's see, what else runs through there? Those are just two I can think of off the top of my head. You just want to see how does, how is that program run? Is it through PCE, which is professional and continuing ed, or is it stateside? We do have a master's in education, which is fully online, but it is run stateside. That'll make a difference in what kinds of financial aid are available to you. And so that's another thing that's really great to check with Chris Trowbridge in financial aid and see what he says about that. Also, the departments will know the kinds of funding that's available. And so you can also check with them. Um, and I would say, um, just to know, like on the business side, once again, that brings us back to my mentioning that sometimes there are College of Business opportunities that are only there, for College of Business, and sometimes they set some of those things up because of you know, different funding mechanisms. So do check with the financial aid office and with the department to see, hey, what kind of funding is available for this particular program. I hope that helped a little bit, Michelle.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Okay. And so Aurelie, I just know that you applied for and received that pre-doctoral scholars program. Is there anything you wanted to let folks know in case they're thinking about a PhD?
Yeah. So the Sally Casanova predoctorals program is it's really cool if you're thinking about going into a PhD program eventually, or even if you're just considering it, because what this program is first of all, there's a financial award. They will give you $5,000 to go explore PhD opportunities. That means you can use that money to go and visit a university and meet with faculty over there, or you can go to conferences and present your research. You can get scientific research journals that you can read and just advance your knowledge in the field. And then the second part of the program is that they will fund you to go and conduct research at a university of your choosing. Most of them are the UC universities. I went to UC Irvine for 8 weeks and they covered transportation, accommodations, food, and they also gave me a stipend. So it's a really nice opportunity if you're considering going to a PhD, but you don't know what it looks like to conduct research at that level. So I really strongly recommend that you apply to it. The deadline for that one, for this year is about to close, I think, next week. So maybe consider it for next year, but it's just something that you should have in your radar if you're really thinking about a PhD eventually.
Thanks, Aurelie. Yeah, that program, the pre-doctoral scholars, is open to undergraduates as well as our master's students. Um, you do have to have at least one semester or 1 year left to before you finish. And so that's why sometimes if somebody sees that opportunity and they're a senior and they don't have enough time because they only open that up once a year. It opens in December and it closes in February. So if you can't do it as an undergrad, just know that if you do happen to decide to do a master's in between going for your doctorate, um, you can apply as a master's student, and I think that's what you did, Aurelie, right?
I think I applied during my first semester as a master student.
Yeah. So that, so then you have time to actually go out and search your PhD programs, et cetera. Um, One other thing that is support from the chancellor's office for students who are considering a doctorate, and that is the Chancellor's Doctoral Incentive Program. These two programs out of the Chancellor's Office are designed to kind of boost the quality and diversity of the faculty who teach at CSUs. Um, and so they're hoping that you'll come back and maybe teach. And that's what the CDIP, which is the Doctoral Incentive Program acronym, the CDIP is all about that. Basically, it gives you the chance of a $30,000 forgivable loan. And so if you're thinking about going on for a PhD, that $30,000, you don't have to use it, but you can. And if you use it and come back and teach at a CSU, they will forgive that loan at 20% a year over 5 years, and it just becomes a grant. Um, and if you work half time, then it's, over 10 years, et cetera. But anyway, it's a nice thing that can help you. And just know that the PhD programs usually have a financial package that they will offer you. So there really are funding opportunities for graduate school. And so we definitely don't want you to use that as something that goes, oh, don't let that stop you from applying because there are things that can help you pay. Um, and just really quickly, Chico State has many graduate programs. If these are of interest, we have a list on our website. We're happy to connect you with graduate coordinators who are faculty who are used to answering questions of students. But just know that not only are we here to help you with these particular programs, but we're also here to help you no matter where you want to go. And even if you're just exploring ideas, we just definitely encourage you to connect with us. Um, and so, just in sum, we want to say go to professor's office hours because you can pick their brains, but also you're making connections for mentorship and for recommendations. So that's a win-win. When you apply to grad programs, just know that they're really not as complicated as it might feel like they would be. And we have application admissions coordinators who can help you with your application. So they'll walk you through it. If you're doing one on Cal State, to any Cal State, our admissions people can help you. But any other university, they're going to have the same kind of staff. So there will be someone that you can get help from with the application, and just know that's not that daunting. It's doable. It's definitely doable. Um, Typically, you're going to need a personal statement or a statement of purpose, and that's going to be a couple of pages where you're talking about this is who I am, my unique me, this is my goal, this is where I want to be. Um, this is why your program is exactly the thing I need to get where I'm going, and this is why I can succeed in your program. Basically, that's what you're telling them. And we do have some staff in graduate studies who are happy to review a statement of purpose, help you. The Writing Center will review a statement of purpose. The Career Center will review your statement of purpose. Um, we actually have some upcoming workshops that can help you kind of brainstorm and start writing a statement of purpose if that's the point you're at. So just know that we do have resources to help you and workshops. Typically, you're going to need. Oh, and I see Kiara has a question.
Yes, hi, thank you. So from the last slide as well as this slide, I'm currently in the BSW program, um, the distributed learning one, but
Yeah.
I did want to clarify by January 1st of next year, I need to apply for the master's level program. Is that correct?
In you're finishing up. When are you graduating?
I should be done with the program spring of next year.
Okay. Yes, if you want to go that following fall,
Yeah.
some programs will have a spring start and a fall start, but I would say the majority of them just start in fall. And so for you, you'd want to go that following fall. You would want to apply, um, and the applications typically open in October of the previous fall. So if you want to go, um, so if you are finishing up and you want to go the next fall after you finish, then you want to apply the fall before that. So, um, yeah. So, yeah. So right now, people who wanted to start in um, fall of 26, they applied in October this of 25. They just applied this past October, and their application deadline was January 1st. And so if you want to go that following year, you'll want to apply in October.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. Um, we also had a question about how competitive is the grad program, and that is an interesting question because it depends on the particular program. Whatever you're interested in, there are certain programs here on campus that are very competitive because they get many, many, many really qualified applications, and they have not that many openings. And then there are some programs that get a lot of qualified applications and they have a lot of slots. So it really depends on what you're looking at. If you're looking at social work in particular, that one is a very competitive program because they get more qualified applications than they have openings. But that is not to say that you can't get in because people get in all the time. And the more assistance you have um, when you're preparing that application, the better your chances. And I would also say that with those very competitive programs, Another one would be maybe the Master's in Marriage and Family Therapy in Psych, or the Communication Sciences and Disorders. When they are very competitive and they don't have as many openings as you would want, we do have people who just apply, apply, apply. They apply again, and then they get in a subsequent year. And so don't let a no stop you from continuing to go back and apply. But also know that, if you have a timeline, there may be another place that you might be able to get in. So if you're applying to the CSU, what's nice about that Cal State Apply system is that you can apply to several CSUs at the same time. They might have different statements of purpose that you have to upload, but you can probably hit up the same professors to write you letters of rec and things like that. And so it's somewhat easier if you're applying to more than one, but don't let the competitiveness stop you from applying. And then also just know that folks often will apply again and get in, when they apply subsequently. So I've had people apply 3 times and they got in on the third time on those really competitive ones. So it's really not saying anything about you. It's saying, yeah, this we wish we had more capacity. And that's something that if the world was listening to me, we would spend all the money that we needed and we would have many, many openings, because I know that there are a lot of lovely people that should be in there, but somehow it's not up to me. But anyway, just know that we will be here to help you put together the most solid application. And we definitely recommend that you maybe chat with the graduate coordinator and ask them, hey, what does a strong application include? And think about those things and try and hit those marks, because they'll meet with you and they'll talk to you about what they're looking for. One other thing to know, I was just mentioning about letters of recommendation. You want to ask as early as possible so that you give them time to write a really solid one. Sometimes you want to send them your resume and definitely send them some information about the program you're applying to, because that can help them write a more solid application that is hitting the marks that program's looking for. And lastly, don't worry about the GRE in general. Some programs elsewhere are still requiring it, but there is some assistance online at the Educational Testing Service, ETS, which runs the GRE. They do have some online, practice tests and things like that you can use. But I will just tell you that our programs, there's only one that even has it as a secondary requirement, and that's if you went to a university that wasn't accredited in this country. So in general, ours, you don't have to worry about the GRE anymore. And so now I have gone past time, and I appreciate you all being patient. I will stick around if people have questions, but just know that we do have Grad Cafe every Friday in Sylvester's 100 between 10 and noon. We're over there with free coffee and tea. You could stop by and ask us questions then. And then we also do invite all of you to attend the Graduate Pathways Society GPS Club meeting. And there's going to be one on Thursday at 2:30 in Student Services 122. And that is going to have free pizza and more info and an opportunity for you to ask questions and get resources. So now I'm going to stop talking, let you all either sign off or stick around if you have more questions.
Thank you.
Here.
Bye.